Thank you so very much for having me.
Hi, folks. This is Èzili Network. I'm a human rights lawyer and a cultural activist and a Haiti historian. I have been practicing for over 30 years and doing Haiti work ever since I represented the first democratically elected president of Haiti, who was twice removed because of US imperialism. I have prepared for you a video with a lot of information that some of you may know and some of you may just be getting introduced to. I have taken some of the work that I teach worldwide from my PowerPoint to illustrate 2 interviews that I did to make this a little bit more dynamic with Haiti activists who are just as censored as I am. So I've prepared this for the United for Free Speech conference, and I urge you who are listening to me and who will watch this video to kindly please support the Censored virtual conference. Make a donation so that you can have access to all the presentation. I'm very proud to be amongst some of the people here, and I'd like to especially thank Sarah for inviting me, and of course, my hero, Cynthia McKinney, who I love and who emphasized that I should be here. So thank you. You will find in this video some excerpts from teachings that I've done. And also I interviewed 2 activists, Jafrique Haiti, an Ottawa-based activist born in Haiti, and Luckner Bias. I hope that you find this informative, and I urge all of you to go to support our work. We are censored. I think I've had the same 5,000 people on Twitter for the last 10 years. And so YouTube doesn't also help us with with increasing our algorithm. It is natural, because you will find out when you watch why we are censored, because the truth that we tell is one that the military industrial complex, the warmongers, the banksters, those who want to control us, that 1% that control all the governments in the world, all the banks in the world, they don't want this voice, this Èzili Network voice. So for this first act, I've prepared this for you, and I promise on the next, hopefully, we will try to do something live. So enjoy the presentation, and thank you so very much for supporting the Censored conference and making a donation and going to my website, my social media spaces, Èzili Network Free Haiti Movement. Thank you very much.
Some of the work that I'm going to share with you today is, you're not finding it, you won't find it anywhere else in the world. There is a place in Haiti where there's a rock. It's called Camp Coq, C-O-Q. It's a monument, and it's carbon dated 35 to 100 million years ago. So what's in Haiti actually changes all that we know about his story. And it has writings that certain geologists have said compares to the ancient writings that you will find in different places in Africa, for instance, right? Kemet. And so there were sentient beings on this planet that is not connected at all to the Abrahamic religion that tells you that, you know, they started their journey here 6,000 years ago. This is Luckner Bias. He's one of the people that I respect tremendously because he has been tirelessly putting out information all over about what is actually going on in Haiti. I think this is an opportunity to hear voices that you may not hear, that may not have a platform because we are censored. Haitians are censored. So I'm going to ask, for this video, for the Censors Conference Group, I'm going to ask Luckner Bias, an engineer and a militant and an activist who is tirelessly for years and years and years constantly telling folks what is really going on in Haiti that is hidden behind the headlines. Luckner, thank you for agreeing to do this for me. Would you kindly tell us what is the most important thing to know for people who know nothing about Haiti except what they see in the New York Times and in the mainstream media? What should they know about what is really going on?
Thank you a lot, Mr. Èzili, for this interview. The core of the issue in Haiti went to the independence of Haiti as the first black independent nation in the world from France. Everyone knows that Haiti defeated France to obtain its independence. This has never been accepted truly by the great powers, namely France and the United States of America. So all throughout the history of Haiti, those two powers have been meddling into the politics of that country, leading it to where it is today. Just about in 1915, the United States invaded Haiti and established the structure that we see now today. It's kind of a neocolonialism where basically they, together with France, have been handpicking the president, the head of state of Haiti from Sud Nav. In 1915, we can go to the list, goes down to Èzili Network, to François Duvalier, and we've seen from the election of Michel Martelly, what's supposed to be an election, a free election, but Martelly was chosen. And now, after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse, another point of Michel Martelly, that put him in power, they come and install, they handpick Ariel Henry. So the core of the issue is the fact that Haitians have been deprived of their right to choose their own destiny, in choosing their own leaders to lead them. So they've been resisting those two great powers attempted at their sovereignty. Those two big powers that are determined to choose for them, and Haitians are saying no. So that's what you see, those two forces in Haiti competing. There is a group that kind of accept the fact that, well, we accept the fact that France and the United States can choose for us. But there's a larger minority that says no. We fought for our independence. We're not going to return back to colonialism. That's the dynamic, as we know, in Haiti.
So the larger group, right? It's not a minority. It's the larger group of Haitians say we're not going back into slavery.
That's what I said. The larger. I said the majority.
Okay, very good, very good. I just wanted one more question. I don't want to take too much of your time in the middle of the day, but what is the solution? Let me just posit this. If we do have, because you know I represented the most popularly elected president
Jean-Bertrand Aristide. But what I noticed was that even though he was legitimate, and the United States, of course, was fighting the fact that they did not choose him, he was not their puppet. But he could not get anything done because he did not control the economic doors in Haiti. So let's say the United States allows us to pick a president. How is that going to be different from what happened to Aristide with regards to the economics? Because the Syrians, the Lebanese, and the oligarchs control all of those doors. How do we change that for the masses?
Well, that would have to be changed, the structure of Haiti. Any president, independent, that is that cares about the nation, immediately that he takes office, there are a number of reforms that we need to be implemented, be done and implemented in Haiti. That president, he can do it. However, if there are great powers backing up those oligarchs that you just mentioned, he's not going to be able to do it. Those oligarchs are going to create problems for him and all throughout his presidency, and most likely he will not end his term.
Exactly.
So, but those oligarchs, they derive their power, their ability to be such a nuisance from those great powers that I just mentioned.
Exactly. And isn't it those oligarchs, along with the US and the core group, that actually brought us the level of violence that we have today?
That's what we have. We've seen paradoxically that there are a number of names, of big names, have been cited by Canada itself, by the governor of Canada, and even that are implicated in the traffic of arms into the country, at destabilizing the country.
Didn't Canada actually name the United States? Who did they name? Besides I know they named some of the oligarchs, but recently, didn't they say something about the U.S. and the arms in Haiti?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that the United States can do a lot to stop the flow of arms that are going into the country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to use this clip in my video. I really appreciate it, Luckner.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Èzili nanano Èzili nanano Senti ma paix monter.
Haiti has an extraterrestrial material that is found nowhere else in the world except South Africa, and it's the purest in Haiti. 65 million years ago, an asteroid landed in this space. Mm-hmm. We have an asteroid mountain in different places. We have mountains, they're made of asteroid. They use this asteroid because it's the remain of this asteroid that is so heat resistant that they use for spacecraft. 1 ton of Haiti's iridium.
Iridium. I wanted to get to
iridium
that. Yeah.
is worth $1 billion. We have mountains of it. They put soldiers and private military contractors in UN uniforms. They're everywhere in Haiti, digging out the mountain. They're everywhere in Haiti, digging out the mountain. So they literally, since 1986, with the fall of Duvalier, the U.S. military has been taking out Haiti's
Èzili nanano Èzili nanano Senti ma paix monter.
I'm on Twitter, Èzili Network. We have Free Haiti Movement. Please go on Facebook. We have about 15,000 people. I'd like to have 100,000 soldiers. Please. We are standing on truth and living without fear. Èzili Network, people. And so, all right. So, Èzili is the name of the warrior mother. Èzili is the vibration that represents the archetype of the mother, though that who gives birth. And in Haiti, we don't use pictures of humans or avatars of human to represent vibration and an archetype, an irreducible essence that repeats itself. So the nurturer. But these are some of this is in Ghana, they're Èzili. You see a set, you see the Black Madonna. And so let's see here. Why is Haiti the world's favorite disaster story? That's what I'm going to tell you today. Is Haiti really without any natural resources? Is Haiti what they say it is, which is poor, the poorest in the Western Hemisphere? I hope by the time I'm finished today, you will see some of our riches and value some of our riches. I used to say for the last 20 years that the template for neocolonialism was that the European tribes, they use buffer races in between us and them. So the Anglo-Saxons either use the mulatto races or same thing, the Syrian, Lebanese, Israelis. That's who we have in Haiti. Even today, after the United States has essentially participated in getting rid of their own puppet, which was Haiti's last president, we still have, even as they tell you they're about to come and invade Haiti to help us, they really care about Haitian human rights. That's why they spent $13 billion on earthquake money and left us with cholera and 30,000 people dead and 100,000 sick. Excuse me, not 100,000, 1 million. So as you watch the news right now and you see what they're saying, I want you to go and do your look. We have Haiti, even as the United States right now has asked Jamaica to come and clean up the gangs. If you look at the homicide rate, Jamaica is the murder capital of the Caribbean. And this is a template that they use, and they did it back in the 70s, and it works for them. They got the Lebanese, they got the Eurocentric Negroes, K-N-E-E-G-R-O-W, who just let the people live out in Trench Town, live out in spaces where no resources, where poverty is a violence. So, but we still, even after 20 years, well, since 2004, the European tribes came back, right? It was 1804 we got our independence. 2004 was our bicentennial. He came back on our bicentennial because he is trying to reverse the work that our ancestors did. This is Èzili Network. I'm speaking with Jafrique Haiti, who is a member of Solidarité Québec Haiti. He's an Ottawa-based activist and radio host. I have known Jafrique the whole time I've been here, and that's been decades and decades and decades. Over 30 years, we've been doing the same thing, which is telling folks what they won't see, what's hidden behind the headlines. And as this conference is talking about what is censored, there is no one better than who has the experience and the knowledge and who is on the front lines than Jafrique Haiti.
So for your audience, United for Free Speech audience, we are going to do this interview, and I will be asking him. Jaf, so listen, I know you're out there in Ottawa doing a lot of work. I want you to not only tell us what you think that is the most important thing for people to know about Haiti, I also would like you to tell this audience what you think they can do to help us with those that are blocking Haitian sovereignty.
Well, greetings, Sister Èzili Network, and thanks for thinking of me. Indeed, it's been a few decades since we've been in this struggle together, and I have much admiration for your work, as you know. Indeed, I think there are a number of things that are hidden from the headlines, but for the contemporary situation, we often mention, and that's what we've said in our most recent press release, that Canada and the United States are allied to paramilitary criminals in Haiti. And that is really counter to the narrative that you see from U.S. Media and U.S. leaders who are pretending that they are trying to fight what they are calling gangs, but in reality, these are paramilitary criminals who are allied to the political party that they put in power. And we use the term political party, that is very loose, because as you know, DECA, or Parti Haïtien Tête Calée, which was led by Michel Martelly, is involved in all kinds of crimes. But what is important to note is that all of these crimes, whether it is theft of the Petro-Caribbean funds, theft of billions of dollars that were for the reconstruction of Haiti, they happened in collusion with corrupt elites in the United States as well. And that's why they receive maximum protection from the United States. So the real conflict in Haiti is not a matter of gangs, but rather the whole country has been taken hostage by bandits, criminals that are powerfully supported by the United States, Canada, the European Union, through this thing they call the core group, which is an illegal gathering of ambassadors from those countries that I mentioned, but also with Brazil, Spain, Germany added for good measure.
Let me ask you, I know that Canada recently, and since you're there, recently started to sanction the very gangs that essentially Haitians are saying the core group of ambassadors allowed to proliferate after the essentially taking down the democratically elected president back in 2004. And now we have these fake elections that they put together. And in order to maintain the people into a silence, they create these gangs, these paramilitary groups. But now I hear that Canada is sanctioning them, and then there's talk to Canada coming for an invasion to help Haiti with these gangs. What is that about? Would you tell people that are just reading this confusion? Would you unravel it for us?
That's the major work of PR and positioning that creates confusion on purpose. In reality, what they are doing with those sanctions is to detach themselves from the monsters that they have created. And those sanctions, in reality, there is no evidence of their existence in reality. Okay, it's just a question of press releases and names of individuals that are on a list. But for example, there's one of these PHTK criminals who was given the title of senator in Haiti through those fraudulent elections that you mentioned. His name is Rony Celestin. He and his wife bought houses for millions of dollars in Canada, in Montreal. One of them for $2 million. They paid cash. Okay, those houses are still there, and they're still his property and property of his wife. And Canada has been clamoring that they're sectioning, and this man's name is on the list. But there was a report not too long ago that not a cent has been blocked from these individuals. But more than that, the evidence that is available ties many of these individuals to gangs of kidnappers. For instance, the richest man on the island, we've heard, his name is Gilbert Bijot. The guy is in his 80s, late 80s. He's participated in all kinds of coups in the past. He was sanctioned by the United States back when overthrew President Aristide in 1991. But, people forget that those sanctions are just, statements. In reality, when you go look at the data, what happened is that Gilbert Bijot, although he was sanctioned back in 1991, 92, etc., he actually became richer. Because these families, like the Bijot family, who control much of the economy of Haiti, they are in import-export, and in reality what they do is that they use different channels to get products into Haiti, including weapons, drugs, and there is no real sanction. It is all to create confusion so that the political allies of the individual, they start to look bad, detach themselves, so that the general public doesn't understand the ramifications or the connections. And so in terms of Canada saying that there's this list of individuals that are on sanctions, we in Solidarité Québec Haïti and other allies, such as the Canadian Foreign Policy Institute, we say the punishment for people who are involved in kidnapping, and the kidnappings are real. You'd be hard-pressed to find a single Haitian who doesn't know someone personally, okay, who got kidnapped in Haiti. We've lived that, and they've kidnapped folks from the impoverished population, from the middle class, from every class, except that we are not aware of a single millionaire who's been kidnapped. Yet, for each person they kidnap, they're asking for $1 million. So what has been happening is that the middle class Haitians and the impoverished population who have family living and working in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, they are the ones who've been fleeced whenever there is a kidnapping. And the kidnapping gangs have themselves mentioned that, they don't travel. They don't have connections with banks to make those kinds of transactions, and therefore the weapons come to them in the enclaves where they are. And who has the ability to order those weapons? And studies have been conducted, including by the United Nations itself, showing that well over 90% of the weapons come from the United States. So it's not a very complex situation.
You said well over 90% of the weapons that are being used by what they call gangs, what you and I call paramilitary groups, keeping Haiti contained in this dictatorship, comes from the United States.
From the United States, and it's from a latest report from the United Nations itself. So, it wouldn't be complicated for them to stop the flow of weapons into the country, not just weapons, but ammunition even.
Okay, so let me, for those, because, some of these people in this audience may not know as much as you know. So what you're saying is that the United States could stop the flow of weapon. The oligarchs own the ports, right? The people like Gilbert Bijot, who is the most wealthy person in the Caribbean, lives in Haiti. He is the billionaire of the Caribbean.
Well, apparently he lives in Florida. He
It
owns
makes
a
it
part of
worse.
Haiti.
He absolutely lives in Florida. So if Canada really wanted, so the sanctions, I'm told, is that Canada says that Bijou and others, specifically from the political party that they put into office themselves, the core group, that they are the ones that funded or fund the so-called gangs, right?
Exactly.
Now, as a lawyer, let me just say something. So if you fund gangs that are killing and kidnapping and raping, aren't you a
Torturing.
criminal?
That's right.
So why are they being sanctioned instead of a warrant being put out for their arrests?
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's
That's
really
why I often say to colleagues that imagine that the hundreds, and like I said, of us Haitians, whether we're living in Haiti or outside of Haiti, know personally individuals who were kidnapped. And this is terror for the family because people are collecting money to pay. Okay? And
say the
these
last
people,
sentence. Say the last sentence because it was you said people are collecting money.
people collect money from their families and friends who are living whenever there is one of those kidnappings. And like I said, most of the kidnappings affect people from the middle class, like lawyers, doctors, school teachers, but also very poor people. Like there were a case of a street vendor who was kidnapped. They know that these individuals don't have money, but they know they have family abroad who care for them, who might put up the money.
Okay, so let me ask you, this violence that we see in Haiti, I obviously do this all of the time, and I show that back in 2004, and this is something I've been showing for 20 years now, that our violence rate when the UN came into Haiti, essentially to take over the government of Haiti and make sure that we never ever have another directly elected president like President Aristide. When they came in to do that, I always point out that our violence rate was 5.6 over 100,000. And in that space, the UN came in, and within 10 years, they had doubled. They came in supposedly to give us democracy. What they gave us was fake elections, cholera, stealing of the earthquake monies, and essentially leaving us behind these paramilitary gangs after 2022 July, when they essentially were complicit in getting rid of their own puppet, Jovenel Moïse. So
Exactly.
what do you think about now the same people who increased the violence, brought us paramilitary gangs so that those gangs could constrain the people from protesting against the core group, against the imperialism? Now they're all saying, oh, we are going to come return a UN type military in order to get rid of the gangs that we helped put in there. What do you think about that? And what are the people listening to us? What can they do to help our voice go out there? Because you and I, and our voice and what we're saying right now, it is censored.
Yes, but history is a good guide for us, although it cannot explain everything. Because honestly, this current is.
Could you say that again? Because you got cut off.
Yes, so the current coup, which happened in 2004, when the last real Haitian government led by President Aristide was removed, I think is more complete in terms of a coup, a disruption of the state, a systematic destruction of the state apparatus, okay? Because whereas, as you mentioned, the crime rate was much lower in Haiti than its neighbors, whether you take Jamaica or, the United States, etc., before the foreign troops invaded in 2004. But we had 7,000 elected officials, people who were accountable to those who had put them in power, who have elected them. Okay, today you have zero. It's not, paraphrasing. That's fact. Zero.
So who's running the state now, and who put him in office?
The thing called the Core Group, which is a regrouping of ambassadors from the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Spain, Brazil, a representative of the OAS, representative of the UN. These are the people who make the decisions. And in fact, after the assassination of, their puppet Jovenel Moïse, which, by the way, is something that really needs investigating, because, this man was killed and no one shot back in his defense, in his house, where his wife was by his side. Somehow she escapes. Okay? This is very weird, because that investigation, a number of the folks who were involved, in fact, you can see the video, when they were entering his house, they were calling DEA.
That's right.
Others
That's right.
that
And
they finally arrest the other day were working for the FBI, and it's the U.S. investigating that same crime, where its agencies are implicated, that are going to be doing the judgment. So, of course, this is in itself a scandal that, should be investigated, not for the sake of the individual, because, like many Haitians will tell you, this guy was handpicked by the imperialist, and they got him to do all of what they wanted him to do. For instance, give land illegally to the oligarchs, vote at the Organization of American States against Venezuela. Everything they asked him, he gave. And eventually they didn't need him anymore.
exactly. And wasn't it his term over on February 7th, 2021? And didn't the Haitian comparison to the Supreme Court say that his term was over? And didn't the United States just come in and say, no, we're going to give him another year?
Exactly. They said,
and so if the United States didn't do that, maybe he would still be alive, right?
Absolutely. But more than that, okay, because there were demonstrations in the streets of Haiti, saying that we are tired of these, fake regimes, puppet regimes. We want people who are going to be investing in healthcare and education, fighting corruption and all of that. And it was impossible, because the United States was supporting the corrupt regime. But what they did is that in the United States, they had a meeting in March 2021. By that time, of course, the legal term of Jovenel Moïse had ended, because it was supposed to be done by February. But like you said, the Americans insisted, and it wasn't just the Americans, the Canadians and the Europeans, the folks who are really running the show in Haiti.
So these are all the former slaveholders, former slaveholding countries. Haiti, we know, is the country that abolished slavery. They have never forgiven us. They won't allow us to have any sovereignty. They come in, and if there is a popularly elected president, they take them down. And the way they do it is what you're talking about. They actually use the law in any ways they want, and then they bring in paramilitary groups to silence the people. And now they have a situation where they want to come back to Haiti. What is so important in Haiti?
Well, there are many things, of course, that are important in terms of mineral resources, etc. But it's also the fact that if you cannot control Haiti in the region, it will be much more difficult for you to achieve what you're trying to do in Bolivia, where there's lithium that you need, for batteries, or, taking over Venezuela, where they want to, take over the oil of Venezuela, as if the people of Haiti, do not deserve to use the gold of their land, the immense reserve of gold that we have, okay, for their own development. The country needs universities, hospitals, etc. But you know what? The sad thing is the way they killed Jovenel Moïse, their puppet, okay? And in March of
and let me just emphasize, as you said, and this is something that everyone listening to us can actually go and find in the mainstream media. Most of the U.S. big agencies, including the FBI, the DEA, USAID, U.S. Embassy, and the core group, are implicated in this murder.
I mean, that's where all of the evidence is pointing. And unfortunately, we don't live in a free world where a real investigation can take place. Some people have died. For instance, the guy who ordered apparently all of the badges of the DEA, he was in jail, and they claimed that COVID killed him. Meanwhile, there was no reports of other people in jail who died of COVID. So the COVID just went in there and selected him.
Yes.
We're talking about Gilbert Dragon, who also participated in 2004 coup, who is very close to Michel Martelly.
Well, let's talk about 2004 in terms of Ariel Henry. So right now, Haiti has a prime minister, de facto president, appointed by Elie Lalume, a U.S. ambassador at the UN, essentially by a tweet. And this guy has no legitimacy, and they're keeping him in office. And so do they have everything they want now? They've got the gangs to keep the people at bay. They've got constant violence in Haiti like they have in Jamaica, like they have in Brazil, stuff we never had before. Tell me, before we can leave, what is the solution? How can the people listening to you right now, this audience of United for Free Speech, help us get the real information out and help Haiti essentially use its own resources to develop itself? How can that be done?
Yeah, so absolutely, it's a situation where they're playing Tarzan and Jane in Haiti. And I'll give you an example of one Jane, okay? In March 2021, a former U.S. ambassador to Haiti, Pamela White, was advising the Biden administration. And her words were, but I remind you, at that time, Jovenel Moïse was still alive and president of Haiti, and the streets were clamoring for him to step down so that we can have a transition towards real elections and democracy. And Pamela White said the solution is to put him aside, referring to Jovenel Moïse, and to have a prime minister take over.
And Pamela White was a former U.S. ambassador to Haiti, yes?
Very.
Okay, you gotta say that. You gotta say that again. Hold on. One more time. Say that again. My question to you is: Pamela White is a former U.S. ambassador to Haiti, and you were saying that before the death or the assassination of their puppet Jovenel Moïse, she went publicly to say what?
Put him aside. That's her word. And the video of that session, it was a session to advise the Biden administration as to what to do with Haiti. And her solution was put him aside. That is the sitting president, Jovenel Moïse. And she continued, to say, put a prime minister in his stead. And it was strange because no one in Haiti was talking about that at the time, okay? Because that wasn't part of the Haitian discussion. They were talking about the regime, the government. And what we saw after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse is a very strange thing. You have a coup, a president is assassinated, and the same party stays in power? Well, and that's why the Colombian mercenaries, they said that they had no plans to evacuate because they had guarantees from the prime minister of the time that he was going to take over and he was going to get a job. That's what was reported in the press. in the Spanish-speaking press.
Wait.
And,
Let
you know, the US media pretend not to know about that.
let's be clear about this. I just want to make sure that our audience hears what you just said. You're saying that after the murder of Jovenel Moïse, the president that shouldn't have been there, wouldn't have been there if the United States didn't intervene to give him an extra year illegally. Okay. And after former ambassador said that we should get rid of him, then he gets killed. And then you have a new puppet that they put in from the same political party. Now, what
Prime Minister.
His made him his prime minister. And now the United States can do whatever they want because they have no parliament that will block their stealing of our resources or whatever contract that Ariel Henry, their puppet, signs.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that none of these individuals who were very close to Jovenel Moïse, including, you know, the prime ministers who took over, who were very eager to take over as soon as he was killed, but the chief of the police is now ambassador to the OAS.
And his name is Léon Charles, and he has been part of this cabal of U.S. trained agents like Ariel Henry, who is the current prime minister / president with no legal or constitutional mandate. But wasn't Ariel Henry also part of the coup d'etat in 2004 that took out the constitutionally elected president?
Absolutely. That's why it's a continuation. You cannot look at the current mayhem and not see that it is a direct result of the 2004 coup. Ariel Henry was a member of the Conseil des Sages. Mirland Manigat, Michel Martelly, all of these folks were supporting the coup.
So what do we do? What do we do, Jaf? What do we tell those people, human beings of all the races, who are watching this great disaster story that the United States constantly unleashes on innocent people who have no defenses? What do we do to stop this?
Well, Sister Èzili, I think we need to go back to history. 200 years ago, ancestors of some of the people listening to us or watching this were fleeing the United States, going to Haiti for shelter. Some of my own ancestors were first enslaved in the United States and they found refuge in Haiti. So the reality is, for the past 500 years, Africans have been running for their lives on the Atlantic Ocean. Okay? Taken from Africa all the way there and running from the mainland United States, trying to find refuge on that one oasis of freedom they heard was created in Haiti. When the United States invaded Haiti in 1915, doing all kinds of the peasant black population, there were Americans who raised their voice in defense, in solidarity with the people of Haiti. One of them was the famous author James Weldon Johnston. Now, unfortunately, in the present time, is that we are already at 19 years of foreign occupation in Haiti. Therefore, we've equaled the 1915-1934 occupation. It doesn't seem that there is enough awareness in the United States that their country is committing a horrendous, crime against humanity in Haiti. And the allies of the United States government in Haiti are all the bad guys. Okay? And Michel spends more time in Florida. He lives in Florida.
Say the name again, because it was cut out. Did you say Michel Martelly?
Yeah. Michel Martelly, who was illegally appointed by Hillary Clinton, who entered Haiti in 2011 and ordered the director of the Electoral Council to change the results of the election.
Under
as he
Barack
admitted.
Obama administration.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, our so-called first black president.
Okay.
Okay.
So really what you're saying to the people listening to you is that what's been happening in Haiti is a systematic destruction of a black nation. It's a quiet genocide, and it's the United States and its allies and the former enslavers that are doing this, but apparently their citizens are not really aware of that. And now if we make those citizens aware of that, as we are doing right now, how can we solve this? How can we provide some solace to the people so that they can live like human beings?
Yes, and that's exactly the point, because Haitians are saying that, the game has to stop, okay? No more, you're not going to select another blackface puppet.
Well, isn't that what they're about to do right now with Ariel Henry and Maniga? And then they have
That's
the
their
OAS with
But
Léon Charles.
The Haitian people are not just suffering this. They have their own agenda. And for years now, for over 5 years, they've been saying Chavi Rifugier, or that the system has to be overthrown.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that this U.S. fake democracy, which is really a dictatorship in Haiti, is something that the people are very aware of. They don't want to go through it again. They also don't want to deal with the fact that being president of a space where all the economic doors are controlled by the white oligarchs is not something that Haitians want to go deal with again. So how do we change that system? Is it revolution? What is it?
Well, if we have solidarity on the part of American citizens, it's very simple. Because, like I said, the billionaire criminal in Haiti, Gilbert Bidjot, is right there in Florida. So, the U.S. justice system has easy access to him. They should just arrest him.
Okay. All right. So that's exactly what we're asking. We're asking for those who are listening to us who have influence in America. Gilbert Bidjot is an overseer for the U.S. imperialism in Haiti. He's a multi-billionaire. He lives right there in Florida, along with the others. They're right there in the United States.
Michel Martelly is right there in Florida.
Michel Martelly, all of them, all the ones that they've been sanctioned supposedly by Canada, and yet there's no warrant for their arrest. So if America and its citizens are really into the truth, then they would take these criminals and put them in the jail that they need to be and provide reparations for the people so that we can essentially, as a matter of fact, the only reparation Haiti needs is for them all to leave and to allow us to grow a local economy. What do you say about that?
Yes, but of course, for reparations, but there are different levels of reparations. But an easy source is the billions of dollars that these individuals have stolen and have deposited in banks in the United States, in Panama, and if you check with the Panama Papers, you will find the names of those same individuals. Okay, so because the people need hospitals, they need universities, they need schools, they need irrigation canals.
Yes, but I've said forever, and this is something that we constantly talk about, and that's that the charitable industrial complex, these are poverty pimps that actually masturbate on our pain. They need our pain in order to exist. So since that's the case, there has to be something more with regards to what we can do. We obviously, it's not the NGOs or it's not charity. It's really, in my opinion, Haiti has to be left alone to grow its own food, to become locally sufficient again.
But when we talk about who is a billionaire, and at the time he was also the consul representing Israel for over 25 years in Haiti. That means he had diplomatic immunity. This guy was making a lot of money because he also had his own private port. Now imagine, he has a private port and he has diplomatic immunity. So you have all kinds of containers arriving at his port, and he can use his diplomatic immunity not to have some of these things checked.
Exactly. And he does.
All kinds of things. That's how he becomes a billionaire.
That's right.
This money belongs to the people of Haiti. So it's not just a question of putting these people in jail for punishment. We need to recuperate the billions of dollars that belongs to the Haitian people that they have stolen. See, that's when we talk here about that level of reparations, this is money that the national treasurer, the treasurer of Haiti, already has. Now, in addition to that, there is the fact that the United States, Canada, and France, by toppling the Haitian government in 2004, introducing cholera into the country, killing upwards of 50,000 people, they owe reparations.
Yes, not to mention the fact that the UN left us, some people say, between 500,000 to almost 1 million abandoned children.
Yes. No, and that's what they do all over the world.
So rape, this multi-generational crime, they are constantly promoting it in order to promote what? Stability and pain. And then feed us to the charitable industrial complex who are going to save us. They play what you said. They play hero and villain. So we want everyone listening to hear this voice. J'Afrique Haiti, Ottawa-based activist. He's going to be on the front lines. Tell us, what are you going to be doing next?
Well, next this week, Joe Biden is coming to Ottawa to meet with Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and there is talk that Joe Biden is continuing to put pressure so that Canada can lead an intervention in Haiti. And we are telling everyone that we know exactly the purpose of that intervention. One, it protect the criminals, that is so that they can secure the system that is being challenged by the people. Two, and we saw that with boats that Canada sent in the Haitian waters, is to stop Black refugees that are fleeing the violence in Haiti from reaching the shores of Florida and all the way up in Canada. And this is criminal. You cannot set fire in people's houses and then at the same time you're blocking them from escaping from the fire.
That's exactly what's going on. So Biden is essentially giving the problem of Haiti that they created. They're trying to essentially distract everybody with this Canada thing when we know what they're doing, as you said, is essentially keeping Haitians there, maintaining the dictatorship, and essentially behind all of this, as I always say, they're looting Haiti's gold, iridium, and oil. So this is what's going on, and that's really what we want all the folks to know. Jaf, I hope that on maybe the second part we can do this live. But for now, I really, really thank you. If you have one more thing you want to say to these influencers, to bring to their audience about what can be done, your final words, please.
The Haitian Revolution already stated loud and clear that Black Lives Matter. What needs to be recognized, not expected, is that Black nationhood matters. Thank you, sister.
Thank you very much.
Èzili Network.
Finish, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that the Haitian Revolution, unfortunately, also helped double the size of the United States, triple actually, more than triple the size. It created, when Napoleon, the greatest general, died, right? I mean, not died, lost, okay? Leclerc died from yellow fever. He had to sell the Louisiana Purchase. And you see this landmass, you see how big that was? All there was the 13 states there. And he sold that whole place. And you see how far the United States. So, but for the Haitian Revolution, okay, the Americas could have been French or British. You understand? And and when they tell you that we are the poorest in the Western Hemisphere, is because the only reason France recognized our independence, they made us pay to them 10 times the amount Jefferson paid for the Louisiana Purchase. So Jefferson paid 15 million francs for all this territory that made 15 states. Haiti is not even as big as Rhode Island or Vermont. They made us pay 10 times that amount, and it took us 122 years to pay for France losing my grandgrands. So I can talk the way I need to talk, because I know what my ancestors had to deal with, the road they made for me to be here. And I hope that this gives you a platform where you can go and learn more at the Free Haiti movement, because I've been on this field for so long. I looked at the nation state, and I know that the nation state doesn't work for Africans in the way that it's used by the European powers. So we have 3 solutions, and this is the 3 Èzili Network points for a new world. Of course, you know, that's like being ironic, right? The old world, the new world. This is the Columbus language. I don't actually use that language. 1 Western Hemisphere passport, because we have paid 1 minimum wage, because if the minimum wage in Haiti, Jamaica, Bahamas was, nobody would leave. Nobody come to. All of Haiti should be a World Heritage Site, a sacred sanctuary, a place where you, Bill Clinton cannot come and take our property, our gold, our oil, our riches, or excavate the black caracoles up there and take all of the artifacts and go put it in their basement somewhere. Thank you very much for having me.
Èzili